Hi, Edouard, and welcome to the Hour Markers. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Karishma. Pleasure.
How's everything back home in Switzerland?
Everything is good. I mean, it's everybody's on vacation right now, so we're not many people at the manufacturer. You know, in Switzerland.
Sorry, we're making you work today.
Yeah, watchmakers. There's like this watchmaking holiday season, so it's like 2 to 3 weeks in the summer, and we're in the middle of it. So at the manufacturer, it's quite easy at the moment. It's more, budget times, reflection time. It's a good period.
So did we put you away from? Did we pull you away from a ski holiday?
Ski holidays? Yeah, no, not this time. No. At the moment, it's raining a lot. Actually, it's crazy this year.
Yeah, we've been hearing. So we're here to talk about something really special that you're going to launch today, which is a new perpetual calendar in a new range that you have. Before we get into it, I have a confession. I remember I met you last, which was my last international trip at Dubai, at Dubai Watch Week 2019, where we did one of our interviews with you and the other suave Meylan brother that we have. And I remember that time Bertrand showed me a prototype. It was 2019 around November, and he showed me a prototype of the Streamliner. And I just looked at the watch and I said, so for me, a Moser is either a Pioneer or an Endeavor, which is very classy, very minimalistic, or it's one of those crazy Swiss Alp watches, the crazy nature watch that you made. But then I see the Streamliner and I'm like, no, they're doing the wrong thing. They're going the wrong way. But then I'm quite opinionated. But clearly, the watch has taken off. The collection has taken off. And I've even read about people comparing it to becoming an iconic design on the lines of a couple of watches, which is best if I don't name. But it seems to be doing pretty well.
Yeah, you're referring to the chrono from the Streamliner that we launched exactly 18 months ago. And we were at Dubai Watch Week when we started teasing and showing a handful of people the first prototype. And it was an exciting time because we had been working years on this new design and this new movement. And you ask yourself a lot of questions and you look at the eyes of people, and some people were like, oh my God, this is amazing. And some are like, really? So that was probably your reaction. I can't remember. But there was a reaction. Mm-hmm. And when you do something like this, you need reactions. You need to create something that is different. And when you do something different, there's the risk that some people will not like it or not understand it. And to be honest, I think if you want and have the potential of becoming what you said, like a future icon, you need to be far away from the rest. You need to set new standards of design. And that is something not everybody might understand at first sight. It takes a little bit of time and getting used to it. And it's crazy. We had a huge success with this collection over the last 18 months. It's incredible. But at the same time, every time I meet people, I hear, oh, this is growing on me. So the potential is even more. And today we already submerged. I mean, we sent a message a couple of weeks ago to all our retailers saying, we're not accepting any orders on the Streamliner Center Second and chronograph anymore because we sold out until mid of 2023. And it doesn't make sense for us. We need to work on our production, on our plans, etc. So let's not create frustrations. We block for now the orders, and then we'll see.
So you just mentioned when you do something different, Moser has always done things differently. With the Perpetual Calendar, in the Endeavor, in the Pioneer, it's always been different. And now we have a Perpetual Calendar in the Streamliner Collection. What I would love for you to do is show our viewers how do we read the Perpetual Calendar on the Streamliner.
Okay, I think we have a few pictures with us here, and maybe it's easier to understand with a picture like this one. So here you see the face, the dive side, and I think it's a very important element to understand the Perpetual Calendar from Moser because it doesn't look like a Perpetual Calendar. A lot of people look at this watch and say, oh, this is a nice three-hands watch with a big date. It's actually way more than that since it's a Perpetual Calendar. So it's a watch that knows whether there's 28, 29, 30, or 31 days in the month. The way we indicate the months is actually one of the I would say smartest element in this watch is this small hand you see here at the center. It's a small red hand. I don't know if you see it. I hope you do. And we use this hand to set the months. There's 12 months in the year. There are 12 indexes, 12 hours. And that was back in 2005 when we launched this movement for the first time, the crazy idea. It doesn't, I mean, for a lot of people say, yeah, this is a stupid idea. Why didn't I have this idea? But it really simplified the entire concept of perpetual calendar, which are usually very busy, very complex to read, very complex to use. This one is super easy. So you have the month's indication through this small hand at the center. You have a big date on 2 disks on top of each other. So one disk shows 1 to 15. And then there's a small window with a disk below with 16 to 31. And those 2 disks play on top of each other. This is very, very important so that we can allow to have these beautiful big numbers always centered in the middle of the window. And in this case, we have modified this perpetual calendar to have an additional hand at the center, because the traditional one, the Endeavor perpetual calendar, has a small second. We have a direct center second, because I always like to have a certain homogeneity across a collection. And the Streamliner chronograph, the one which I'm wearing and you referred to before, as well as the center second Streamliner, both have a beautiful, very long, thin center second hand. And we wanted that for that new perpetual calendar. We also see the crown is at 4 o'clock, like on the chrono, even though there's no bullhead button since it's a perpetual calendar on this particular watch. And the power reserve, it's a 7 to 10 days. It's actually, those watches run 10 to 11 days power reserve on 2 barrel. This indication is at 10 o'clock. If we look at the back, if we look at the movement, there's one very important element, that's the leap year indication. We don't show the year on our watches, because we consider that Moser owners should be smart enough and know which year we are, but they need to know whether it's a leap year or whether it's 1 year, 2 years, 3 years after the leap year. And that's the indication you see with the small star at the back and the small red arrow. That's one element that allows you, through a corrector, to feature the correct leap year, or 1, 2, or 3 after the leap year.
Great.
Giving you enough elements. And maybe one small indication, additional indication, is this is a flash calendar. It's patented, meaning that the indication of the date and the months jumps and changes at midnight. I think we have a short video here, and you can see this flash calendar change. So really at midnight, usually, you know, a change of date, for example, on 28th of February would take a few hours. Here it's instantaneous. Then you see it here, bam, you see it from the 28th of February to the 1st of March. And even at midnight, a minute before, a minute after, you can still play with the date without breaking the watch, which is very important, obviously, because many perpetual calendars, as soon as you start playing with it, you break it, and then your watch is gone for 6 months back to the manufacturer. This is not the case with Moser.
Right. I think one of the key elements at Moser is that you can also set the calendar backwards, which doesn't damage
if
the
you
watch.
leave it in the safe for a few years or months or weeks, whatever, it takes 30 seconds, whatever the date, to set it up, which is incredible.
Yeah. In terms of the movement, the perpetual calendar, the actual perpetual calendar, have you integrated the Endeavor perpetual calendar movement, or has there been a switch in the movement? Because a couple of things that I noticed was the movement is a lot more open through the Sapphire. It's a lot more visible, so you see a lot more of the movement. But in totality, there is not too much of a difference in the two movements.
So there's difference in the finishing. You're right. We opened a little bit more the 3/4 bridge. The type of finishing, it's a little bit darker. It's the orientation of the Moser stripes are also different. It's a little bit more modern. I wanted a different contrast. On the Endeavor, we will continue with the traditional one with the small second. So it's a small second perpetual calendar with the crown at 3 o'clock and the power reserve at 9. We will continue with that one with the traditional finishing, which is rodier, so a lighter gray color and more closed, more 3/4 bridge style. You know, more traditional, like pocket watch that we want to keep for the more traditional collection of perpetual calendar. So that's for the Endeavor. And for the Streamliner, where the case is in steel, the bracelet is in steel, having the rodier on the movement for me was too one colorish, and I wanted the movement really to stand out a little bit, like the movement on the dial, this dark gray dial on the other side, fume, stands out. I wanted the same thing on the movement side. So we created this a little bit more modern finishing. So it's more open, as you said. It's not a skeleton, but it's more open. You see more of the gearing. The finishing is darker, so you see the contrast between the case, the bracelet, and the movement. And of course, as I said, it's a direct center second movement. It's the first time that we have 4 hands going through the center for the Perpetual Calendar, which is also something very interesting that our engineers developed.
So you've basically integrated the movement of the Endeavor, but just sort of modified.
It's an evolution of the Endeavor, of the Endeavor movement, but we will continue to do the Endeavor movement for the traditional case movement watches like the Heritage and the Endeavor collection. The Streamliner will have this it's a new reference for us, but it's not a complete new development. It's an evolution with a direct second.
In terms of the details on the dial, I know at Moser, the key element is to be minimalistic, but in the Pioneer Perpetual Calendar, you did have the month and the date. How about adding a day to the face of the watch? Have you ever considered that?
No, we didn't feel like that adds much value to what we want to display. As you said, we don't want to be minimalistic. I mean, we like minimalism, but it has to make sense, and we get rid of the things we don't feel we need. We did a Pioneer month and date, so that's the first time we actually featured the months, because there's also part of the Moser followers or fans around the world. Some wanted to have the months because they felt it's difficult for some people because of their eyes to really see the arrow. For most of the people, it's no problem. And anyway, the months you set it once and then you don't need to touch it anymore. Some others wanted to be able to actually see it because this small arrow was impossible for them to see. And we created the limited edition with the months, and they sold out. But I mean, it was 2 series of 50 pieces, I think. And we'll see. It's a movement that exists, and we might use it in the future again.
Okay. And is this Streamliner Perpetual Calendar also a limited series?
It's not a limited edition, no. I think the Streamliner, we did the first launch. That was the gray Perpetual chronograph. It was a limited edition of 100 pieces. It sold very quickly. Then we launched the green center second, the Matrix green, also known as the Green Dragon. This is not limited. We launched the Chrono in funky blue. You can see it maybe here. I'm wearing it. This is not limited, and I wanted the Perpetual Calendar not to be limited. We have a very limited capacity. The problem is, if we start limiting it, especially at the rate at which it sells at the moment, we would be constantly launching something new again and again and again. I'd rather keep it unlimited, but very controlled production to ensure the highest quality. I mean, we have 2 watchmakers who actually can assemble those Perpetual Calendar movements, and it takes almost a week for somebody to assemble one movement. So the capacity is anyway limited. So I don't think we need to limit it further. There are other models where we can produce larger quantities. Then it makes sense to limit.
And you already have a price on the watch?
I'm never good at prices. I don't want to make a mistake.
Okay,
I think it's around 49,000 Swiss francs.
Okay, and do we see any of these entering the Indian market anytime soon?
I'm sure there are in back order from our friends at Ethos, because they've been very successful with the rest of the Streamliner collection. The question is when. I'm sure there's going to be 1 or 2 this year, but not many more, because I think we're going to do 30 before the end of the year. So if we have 1 or 2 in India, that's already a lot. That's
amazing. Congratulations. It looks fantastic. As usual, I'd love to see the watch, but it's been 2 years that we've just been reviewing watches over Zoom. Unfortunately, hopefully,
can you come and see us?
I would love to. All I need is an opening. I think maybe hopefully at Dubai Watch Week, if that's a possibility for us to travel. I don't think right now it's open. Yeah. Any last lines about the Streamliner and the collection?
No, I think as you said, it's growing on everybody. It's definitely growing for us. We love that collection. But the rest, I mean, today we have our 4 pillars. It's the Endeavor, which is our classic. You referred to it before. We have the Heritage that talks about our history. We revisit the products we have in the museum. We have the Pioneer, which is kind of the, for me, it's kind of the entry door to independent watchmaking. Today, if you want something manufactured, 100% manufactured, but you want to watch cool, you can wear it every day. You can change the straps. You have beautiful dials. Well, that's the Pioneer. And then we have the Streamliner, which is Moser interpretation of what a modern integrated bracelet should be. But Moser shouldn't be only the Streamliner. There's everything else. And I love to see in the market a very well-balanced collection of Moser watches. There's a growing demand for independent brands. I love to see that, because I think we all, in our ways, MBNF, Overk, Haute-Lance, Moser, De Bethune, Ressence, we all contributed a little bit, and seeing this segment elevating right now, because more and more people discover our brands, but the production is so limited. Mm-hmm. It's like big groups who are like, oh, there's more demand, let's produce more watches. It's very limited, and seeing this passion for what independent watchmakers do is an amazing, and that's thanks to people like you who promote our work, and I'm very grateful to that, and I'm grateful to all the people around the world and in India. Many of them I've met in my recent not so recent trips, and I see there's a passion for that, and I really appreciate that.
Definitely, independent watchmaking has definitely picked up on a global level, and in India as well. Thank you, Edouard. As always, it was a pleasure meeting you. We didn't have any glitches in our interviews like we normally have. You can never get through one interview. I have all those videos still with me. Can never get through one interview at one go, but I guess it happened over Zoom this time.
Especially when my brother is there.
Yes, let's just blame it on Berto.
Yes, that's it.
All right, thank you so much.
Take care. Huh?
Congratulations again.
Thank you, Karishma. Take care.
Bye. See you.